Again, welcome everybody to this workshop. Um, as discussed, we're going to have an session about how the simple algorithm targets potential candidates, as well as how to optimize your campaigns. And we're going to discuss the specifics of the targeting, how data is collected in real time on your campaign, and how that data is being used by your algorithm to optimize the campaigns. And of course, yeah, what should you do with all this knowledge? Um, so we feel it's really important for you to understand how this works, because it will help you to have more insight in what should go into a campaign and also probably what shouldn't go into a campaign. And this will help you to create more efficient campaigns and, of course, have more success using sympl. Right, so after the session, we'll dive into the Q&A, and we'll also pause the recording, and we can just have a friendly discussion on the various subjects. Okay, so first of all, targeting. How does sympl send out the different ads to the different channels, and how does it target different audiences? Okay, there are two important things to know here. First of all, the different channels. So for instance, LinkedIn, TikTok, Google Ads, or Facebook, they all have different ways of targeting and with different possibilities and restrictions. So that is one thing that's important to know. Second, is that the different channels have increasingly more restrictions on the targeting options, and especially for some categories of ads. So Meta already started doing this a few years ago. It's called special ad categories, and there are a few categories. So all ads related to housing or real estate, financial products, but also employment, have limited targeting abilities. And within employment also, this also includes recruitment advertising. So the idea of these special ad categories is to limit or to prevent discriminatory policies practices, and of course to have everyone get a fair opportunity on the employment market. So this specifically means that you cannot target anymore on age. You cannot target anymore on gender or zip code on this channel. So that's all about what you can do. So then, of course, you may wonder, what can you still do within this current restriction? So the main parameters to target on is regions and user interest. I will get into the interests in a minute. And also on the different channels, there's a slight variation on the targeting possibilities. For instance, on LinkedIn, you have some more possibilities to target on job experience or years of experience within a specific company or educational background. So that is an exception to the rule, of course, because the platform is really focused on employment advertising as well. Okay, so
can I just interrupt, because I just want to clarify one thing, is that again, the basic principle of sympl is to make it very easy for people without marketing background, without marketing knowledge, to still be able to use social media and all the intricacies and specificities that are linked to each other platforms. So that's why, you know, that I'm really happy that Koen gives the explanation here. But it's our job to basically kind of make the interface as clean and as simple as possible, and then do the hard work in the background. So I just want to kind of, but I'm not sure if everybody's using it very detailed. Don't be afraid of anything we're explaining here. If you will start using the product, it is very straightforward. But we wanted to use this session to kind of show you what's going on in the background. So there's no changes from that perspective.
Yes, so next, the user interest that I have already mentioned. So what the different channels still allow you to do is to target based on the interest of the social media users. So of course, the different channels have lots of information about their users. For instance, the types of ads they click on, pages that they engage with or like, posts they comment on, or certain activities they engage in on the social media channels. So there's a lot of knowledge, of course, on what people do within their spare time. And all those channels have this knowledge on their users. And with all those data points, they can infer users' interests. So think about people having interest in the automotive industry, or for instance, IT or marketing. These are some generic categories that can be defined as a user's interest. And what we have done to make it easy for you, so at the left you see a list of targeting options within Meta, and we have combined all related interests audience that you can target on into the function types that are available in sympl. So that is what you can see at the right. So for instance, if you were to target the function type of architecture, interior architect, different interests groups that are available within the social media platforms will be used to target people that have a higher likability of being interested in your ad, because it's content that is relevant for people with interest in the field of architecture. Okay, so this is for the targeting. And to be very clear, everything that we have discussed so far is about how ads are initially targeted. So once you click publish campaign, the ads should go to a specific audience. And all that we have discussed is just that point in time. Of course, once the ads are generating impressions, clicks, visits, etc., the campaign will also learn from the different data points that are being collected during the campaign, and our software captures all those data points to try and learn which people to target and which people not to target. So that is the second part of the story that we're telling here, the campaign optimization process. So I just mentioned a few of these points, but there are many, or actually we collect all available data points that we have on those ads, and not only the ads, but also what happens on the vacancy page and within the application form, to get a full picture of the candidate journey within your campaign. So the things that we measure and collect is impressions. So how many times was your ad shown on the different channels? Clicks, how many people have clicked on the ad that result in a landing page visit. So that is the visits of your website itself. On that landing page, which is the vacancy page, we also measure how engaged users are. So do people spend much time on the vacancy page, or do they immediately leave? But also, to what extent do they scroll through the page as an indication that they actually read your page's content? Then there's also the buttons, the call to action buttons to click to the application form, and that is also, of course, an important indication that someone is interested in applying for the function, as well as the engagement within the application form. So how many people view it, how many start, what progress do they have, and also do they eventually submit it, which is the application. So it's, of course, the final step within the full candidate journey. So like I already mentioned, we collect all these data, and the software automatically captures these and uses these for campaign optimization. So, of course, the end goal here is to attract as many qualified candidates as possible. And to this end, we try to combine those metrics and calculate metrics that have that are good predictor of applicants. So we have two main metrics for this. So of course the application itself, but also the engagement on the vacancy page. You may wonder why not only the applications. This is because in most cases, or in many cases, there aren't enough applications to have a significant data point to optimize your campaign on. So for instance, if you only have 6 to 10 candidates, yeah, this is not enough data to really learn which people to target and which people to not target. So we try to find a metric that is a balance of higher volume to reach significance, as well as that also still predicts the application well. And we found that it is within the vacancy page engagements. So that is a combination of engagement time, but also what do people do on that page? Do they scroll? Do they click the buttons? All that data is used as a measure of vacancy page engagement. All right. So because our software measures which users have more engagement and also which users have less engagement on the vacancy page, this data can be collected, but then also sent back to the different social media platforms that the users originate from. So this feedback loop, which I will visually demonstrate in a minute, is very important, a part of the campaign optimization process, because based on what people actually do when they land on the vacancy page and the application form, our software will learn from that to be able to give back the data to the different social media channels and to tell them actually, okay, these are the people you should target more, and these are the kinds of users or people that are less likely to convert to an actual application. Okay, so to demonstrate that visually, so initially we target a subset of people based on region and user interests. Then some people will click on the ad, and also some people will apply on the vacancy page itself. And with that data, we can send it back to, for instance, Facebook, but also other channels for which it applies. And there we can tell Facebook, okay, this is the kind of people, this subset of the initial audience is more likely to convert to applications, and therefore we should target those people more. So this feedback loop is again very important to optimize the campaigns and to increase the campaign efficiency. Okay, so to go a bit further on that, this is something we call the flywheel effect. So initially we target audiences with the advertising, then based on what people do on the vacancy page and further in the funnel, actions are tracked. And as we have that data, we can also use that to improve and refine the campaign targeting. And then, yeah, well, it goes the circle round and round. So it continuously uses the data to improve targeting and to make the campaigns more efficiently. Okay, I hope that is clear, because this is a very important principle that is used by our software. So of course, you may wonder, okay, if the sympl software already does that, why do I need to care about it? And hopefully it's becoming also a bit apparent on what your influence is on this principle is yourself. But I will also discuss that in a few moments. So a lot of the data and data analysis and campaign optimization is indeed automatically done by sympl. But that does not mean that you can simply post and pray and hope that your campaign will be efficient. You of course have some impact on the content of your campaign and everything that is related to it to make use of these principles. Okay, so before discussing how you can actually implement those principles yourself, there's one related principle that I would like to discuss. So it's the concept of aggregated marginal gains, and this originally comes from the British cycling team that wasn't performing that well at the start of the century. And then the coach of the team came with the idea that everything related to riding a bike should be broken down into the smallest steps possible. So the very small aspects as, of course, the way the bike is built technically, but also the clothing the cyclists wear, the biking technique, but also seemingly disrelated aspects like how to wash your hands or even how to sleep at night. So to break down everything that goes into riding a bike and improving on all those different aspects with perhaps only 1%, this all compounds and adds up to something that has a very significant overall impact on the campaign efficiency. Riding the bike efficiently and as performantly as possible. So that is the concept of the marginal gains. So break it down as in smaller bites and on every aspect improve with, yeah, perhaps only 1%, but in the totality of it, it will add up into a massive result. So this is a principle that applies to many things in life, and recruitment marketing campaigns are no exception. As you may know, there goes a lot of different things within your campaign. So, for instance, the targeting, but also your advertising, your vacancy page, and the application form. So there's a lot of choices to be made. And I just want to use this principle to illustrate that even though the function title you choose or the color of your ads or the job description requirements or the benefits of working for a certain vacancy or company may seem insignificant, if you really think carefully about all those different small aspects that goes into a campaign, it can have a really large result on the total campaign efficiency. And so that is a general principle that is important when creating the campaign. Okay, so that was a bit of a sidestep. So now I want to discuss more on how to use the principles and the information that goes into how to target audiences and also how the sympl software optimizes your campaigns. And the general idea is that it's very important to craft a clear, coherent, and attractive campaign that should maximize the chance of success. Okay, so as we have already discussed, the targeting options nowadays are somewhat more limited than a few years ago. And therefore, the first advice that we would give you is to have to have very clear advertising to be able to attract more relevant traffic. So as you can see on the screen, there are two versions of the same ad. The left one has a more generic advertising text that is also okay. But at the right advertising, it goes more specifically in what requirements you have. So for instance, the years of experience in the field of IT auditing, also the communication skills as a team leader and the proficiency in English. And then it also highlights more specifically the sort of benefit or something appealing about the job that you would have to travel internationally for your work. So there's a slightly different approach used. So it's more specifically goes into the details of the job at the right. And this is very important because it will help you to speak to the right audience. So really spark the interest of the right people scrolling their social media feed. And this will increase the chances of having the right people click on the ads and land on the job description page. And of course, decrease the chances that people that are not appealed at all by IT work or traveling abroad for their work or aren't that proficient in English, that those people will not click, and therefore, yeah, you attract a more relevant audience to your job description page. Again, remember, this can also this also applies to the flywheel effect. So if you are able to attract more relevant traffic to your vacancy page, then of course the algorithm will also better understand which people to target, because you have more relevant and more engaged audience on your vacancy page, and then the loop goes round and round to improve the campaign. All right. So the next one is vacancy page.
Can I just jump in, because I really want to make sure everybody, and I hope I'm unmuted now, because I know this seems really logical, but I kind of want to put it the other way around, right? There's nothing as easy as getting clicks, and that's, you just put a nice picture of a beautiful dog on your ad, and people will click, right? But the thing is, this is not about getting as many clicks as possible. This is about getting the most relevant clicks that we can have. Because if you have people clicking on your ad because they like the dog, we cannot send relevant data back to Facebook, and the flywheel cannot work. And I realize I'm just repeating what Koen is saying, but it's really something that we encounter again and again, where we see people setting up advertising, and we can see that sometimes the ads are results of long internal discussions with people saying, yes, but it has to be nice, it has to be on brand, this is not the kind of image we want to show. When we talk about performance marketing, you need to get the brand discussions out of the way. And I realize this is a very sensitive subject, but if you want to get good data, if you want to have performing ads, right, it's really about making sure you get as relevant clicks as possible. So I just want to kind of re-stress that point, because it's really, really very important that when you have these internal discussions, I'm not saying you should go off brand. Obviously, you need to use your brand colors, etc., etc. But it's really important to start thinking about, I don't want to go for as many clicks as possible, which is just a vanity metric. That looks good on reporting. You're better off with getting less clicks that are as relevant as possible, because that will feed the flywheel and make sure you profit from that later on. So I just want to kind of reiterate in some different words, because that's really the message we want to give here, is that keep it as relevant as possible. Sorry for interrupting, Koen.
No worries, thank you. Okay, so the second thing that I want to highlight is that it's very important that your vacancy page, especially the introduction of the vacancy page, is consistent with the expectations that people have after clicking the ad. So you must imagine that someone reads your advertising text, then clicks it, and then has some sort of expectation on what to find after they click the ad. So the job description, of course, and it's really important that there aren't surprises at the vacancy page. So let's say that people find out on the vacancy page that the job is in entirely different region that they live or work or want to work. Yes, of course, then it's it doesn't make sense that the people have clicked the ad as they find out on the vacancy page that it's not relevant to them anyways. So it's very important that those messaging are well aligned. It shouldn't repeat itself. It should complement itself, but that it's not something surprising or differently than that the people have within the expectations after clicking the ad. So that is one thing. Then another thing, which also is the reason why it's important to already have this within the introduction of the vacancy page, is that you don't want the wrong people to spend too much time on the vacancy page. And this ties back to the campaign optimization metrics. So we use vacancy page engagement to learn which people are really interested within in this vacancy, which also helps us to tell the different channels, okay, you should target more people that are similar to that users that have already had this engagement with the vacancy page. And then, of course, we have the flywheel effect again. So if people if people were to find out on the vacancy page that it's not what they hoped for, you better have them find out at the top of the vacancy page, because then they already know it in a few seconds. Okay, this is not it. I will go back to what I was doing on Instagram, and then that person will not be measured as an engaged session and will also not be used as a user to target the campaign on. So yeah, that's why it's also important to have that in the introduction, and that people yeah, to sort of confirm what they expect, and then that only the people that are really interested and for which the vacancy is relevant decide to continue using the vacancy page, and also of course to apply, yeah, if they want to. And by having the right audience on the vacancy page, you of course will also increase the chances of them converting to an actual application. Okay, and then the third thing that I want to discuss is the vacancy page should be very clear, and also it should be convincing. So what I highlighted here was the parts on what does IKEA expect, but also what can IKEA offer you. And of course, you want that the right people to apply. So as you can see here, it goes really specifically into the years of experience within certain fields, but also the university degree, and the deep understanding of digital trends, and certain certifications or qualifications that they should be familiar with. And then, of course, also the English communication skills. So if people know what they should have before applying, then this will also help the right people to push the button, and the people that do not match those requirements do not continue further within the funnel. Then, of course, the part of what you can offer as a company is also very important. And for this, you must not forget that a lot of the people visiting your vacancy page will already have a job, as we're targeting the larger, but also the passive job market. So you really have to have something appealing that will people make to want to switch jobs, because either the employer is very great, or the job description itself is interesting, or of course the job benefits are better than where a person already is within their current job. So that's just something to keep in mind. Okay, and then finally, and this may seem very obvious, but it always helps to think like a candidate. So someone is scrolling on their Facebook, they see an ad, and of course it must appeal to them in order to make them read more of it and click to the vacancy page. And by going through all these steps, so advertising, vacancy page, application form of your campaign, you can find out, okay, where do I need to be more specific or more appealing to be able to convince candidates to apply.